Max, just your initial thoughts after what the Cardinals did defensively, but also didn't do offensively in that opener against Washington.
Listen, I was actually really surprised and excited about what the defense was able to do, considering what was on the Washington side of the ball and what we were expecting Washington to come out and do, establish the run early, big plays, Terry McLaurin and company, and Jahan Dotson. And, you really thought that there was going to be this kind of offensive explosion and defense was going to be catching up. But no, defense held their own. And, the offense looked like the offense. I mean, we kind of talked about this last week, right? We kind of went through it, that it was going to sputter. It was going to have issues because you had a guy that's starting for you that did not have any training camp experience. He did nothing with this team and trying to figure it out in live action, in the fire of it all. So, I mean, kudos to the Cardinals. I mean, they gave the fight. I know there's no moral victories in football, so it goes in the L column. But I think for morale, for team continuity, you have something to build off of. And that's a positive, and that's a huge win for the Cardinals.
And not only that, though, Max, but you know this right now. Individually, you can get better in a loss. You as a player can get better in a loss. Yeah. I would even say collectively you can gain confidence in a loss.
Yeah.
Listen, the defensive line, by way of example, and how well they played, just specifically that room, how well they played last week against the Commanders, of course, that is a room that I think needed a little bit of confidence, and that is a room that can take some confidence from that game. So, once again, the whole moral victory thing, I totally understand that. Of course, not in the NFL. There are no moral victories. But, man, you can get better in a loss. And I thought some of those guys got better.
Yeah, and I also think they got the reps necessary. Because at the end of the day...
Which is how you get better.
If
you do well.
And you now have tangible tape. I can now go back, look at, examine what I did good, see what I need to get better at, and then now I know where I stand. Because now you are a representation of what you put on film. And so there's a lot of growth that can happen as long as it's done in the creative way and the right way of looking at it. You don't beat yourself up too bad about the loss, and the coach doesn't beat you up saying, "Oh my God, you should have done this," and get in their face.
But he tells you the truth.
Truth serum is good.
Yes.
Truth serum is always good, but you have to measure it when you know it's such a new team together. So you can't treat it like you've been with these guys for 6 years. So there's a measure of, I'm still figuring you guys out and you're still figuring me out, and we're going through this journey together. So let's make sure we don't overemphasize the wrong things, but we also emphasize the things that are good, because I do need to build you up, because I need you to go out and play this week, and we got a tall task in front of us, and I don't need any doubt in your demeanor or your mindset.
Well, it was interesting, too. Dennis Gardeck talked about this, how they have that defensive rotation with, Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis, where that could potentially pose issues to an offense just because it's a different guy trying to get to the quarterback or a different guy stepping in there on defense to make plays. The Aaron Rodgers injury on Monday night, look, I said this on Tuesday. I don't care about the Jets one way or the other, but it's frustrating. It's disappointing. It's disheartening to see that 4 plays into the season. It's not like he's ever been on that team before. I mean, I was to the point where I wanted to see what the Jets look like with that defense, and Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall back and Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. I think really I just feel bad for Garrett Wilson. I think that's what this all is.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers feels bad for Garrett Wilson. Because when he go to the locker and says, "Sorry, kid."
Yes. Maybe I could still throw to you from the sidelines. I don't know.
Hey, I can warm you up.
Yeah.
But I have to stay stagnant, so make sure the ball comes right back to me. I can't go left or right.
That's the sort of play that alters the entire landscape of the NFL, depending on how high you were on the Jets. I mean, they still won that game, too. So just with your thoughts coming out of that game.
I mean, just really how incredibly deep that defense is for the Jets.
Wow.
They are absolutely monstrous.
I think they might be the best defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
If you told me that they were going to be number one at the end of the year, it would not be a shock.
They get Dallas this week, too,
by
I
any
think.
stretch of the imagination.
I think there's a handful of teams that go into that category. I would put the Jets there. I'd put the Cowboys defense there.
Maybe San Fran
and,
as well.
And San Fran, I know, yeah. But I think it's really about and all
the
three
city.
of them, and it's funny, for as much offense that the AFC is going to have, isn't it funny that you put one AFC team and like two NFC teams about top three as far as defenses? But yeah, no, the Jets, I mean, played incredibly gutsy football. Zach Wilson still looked like the Zach Wilson from a year ago. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Yeah. I mean, Garrett Wilson had to play defensive back and almost intercept the ball from the other DB to get that touchdown for them to really catapult them over the top.
Hold on, though. On that play, that's one of the best catches I've ever seen. That might be the best catch because what you just said, he had to play defense first and then catch it with one hand.
Yeah.
I know everybody looks at that Odell catch from like 8 or 9 years ago, and that's right there. But that catch on Monday night was pretty good. No,
it was a heck of a catch. I mean, it's probably one of the best I've seen. I mean, that one, the Tyree catch in the Super Bowl out here in Super Bowl 42, I put it up there. Antonio Brown, the helmet catch that he had, where he caught it with his hand in the helmet.
I still think, though, going back to Zach Wilson, I still think, though, that he didn't get a lot of reps in practice, I would imagine, right?
No.
Didn't get a lot of reps in practice. Can you imagine? There he is. It's Aaron Rodgers, everybody. Look, it's Aaron Rodgers.
He's running out with the American flag. Where's the bald eagle?
Play 4. He goes down.
Yeah.
Play 4. And now Zach Wilson, here you go. The season's yours, kid. He had to be bombarded with all these thoughts right now. You know, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
He did look like Zach Wilson. But at the same time, I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway because he had to be working through a lot of stuff.
Well, I mean, he worked through a lot of stuff mentally, but this isn't new to him, the offense. You know what I'm saying? Some of the weapons are brand new. But sad to say, same offensive line. I mean, you do have Breece Hall still back there in the backfield with you, and you did go through an entire season last year with these guys, minus the first 2 games of the year as he was coming off that injury. But, you know, a lot has been made about, you know, Aaron, and that has to get on your nerves, right? When you were the incumbent quarterback.
Oh, you're not playing. You're not going to play. What do you? It's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. It's like,
you're not going to play.
Hey, you're just going to be the backup.
You are playing, and not only are you playing, you might be playing the entire season.
Yeah, because at that time they didn't know exactly. He went to the locker room, limped off.
That's what I wanted to ask you right there. When you saw it, what did you think? Did you think Achilles? Because I did immediately. What did you?
I thought it was either Achilles or he popped the calf. I thought it was one of those two.
The calf. You could see the actual calf shake. Did you see the tremor?
So I thought it was one of those two when I saw it, and I was like, this is not good. This is not good.
Right.
And when he got up and then had to go back down and then had to be helped off with 2 people, I was like, that's not just a strain.
Then he got off the cart, remember?
I know.
In the hallway, he got off the cart, and that's when I was like, oh, maybe it's not that bad.
That's what I thought, too. I thought, man, he's getting around okay. It's not his Achilles. Because he wasn't seemingly backing it up. And he didn't look like he was bummed out either. So, you know, that kind of made me come off.
I wonder if that was post dark room
that's
meditation.
right.
Yeah, he's very
even.
maybe,
he's very even now.
Maybe, too, you know, when cameras weren't on him, he licked a toad and suddenly felt better.
Yeah, exactly. Just ate some mushrooms. Mushrooms are good for you. They're herbal.
Please. You just knock it off.
Shiitake, baby Bella.
You got Wolf to tell somebody else to knock it off and not me. This is huge. This is RG3 from Get Up yesterday. Says Rodgers isn't done.
He loves to fight. He's a fighter. This guy loves to prove people wrong. He's 39, Foxy. You know the body starts breaking down once you get up to that age. But the way that Aaron Rodgers thinks, he's like, you know what? Maybe I don't want this to be the end of my career. He always said that it wasn't a swan song this year, right? He was going to play for multiple seasons, maybe even more than 2. This injury, I think, could do one of 2 things. It can push him 100% to retirement, or it could re-energize him even more to say, I'm going to come back and get it done, even after Achilles, when some people think I can't.
You know, look, Rodgers has gotten weird the last couple of years. I don't think I'm breaking news there, but I would hate to see his career end on that play, Max. But at the same time, this is not something where it's like, hey, you're back in 6 months. Like this How long did it take some of the NBA players to come back from this? It was like close to 2 years, depending on who you are.
It takes an elongated amount of time and a lot of perseverance mentally. Because that injury, of all injuries, right, you can't get around. You can't move your foot up and down. Yeah. You can't bend your knee and then take that weight of your whole body leaning from side to side as you're walking without your Achilles. Like, you can play without an ACL.
Right.
You know, I mean, we know plenty of guys that have played without ACLs.
It hurt a little bit.
Yeah, it hurts. I mean, but you do it.
Suck it up.
Your brother has no ACL, right?
That's right.
So you can get by. I haven't had my labrum was torn back in 2005.
Yeah.
And I still haven't gotten that fixed. Right? You can play without the Achilles though?
Yes. Okay.
No.
I've got to ask you this right now. Have you ever heard an Achilles rupture? Have you ever heard
the
it?
pop, the snap?
And he's heard
yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness, you can't even believe it.
I mean, it almost sounds like if you took like a really big rubber band and also snap bamboo at the same time.
I gotta tell you, man, it is a creepy sound based on it. I mean,
yeah.
I'll say a gunshot from miles away. Okay, miles away, not close, obviously, but it is loud. In the fact you can actually hear a tendon. It's not just the Achilles; it's also the tendons. They pop when they ruptured. The fact you can hear it when you're out there playing a football game. When you're trying to drive somebody into the ground, and there's a lot of that going on. And
I would imagine.
You can hear it, man.
Yeah.
It is bizarre.
Max, this is a little bit off topic, but you've had a torn labrum since 2005?
Yes.
Is that like on your to-do list, or is that
No.
No?
It's not.
Just gonna roll with
Just
it?
because
what do you do with that?
It takes a year. It takes a year. And do I want to sit there in a sling for a year?
No.
Like this?
He's such an offensive lineman.
I am.
This is a butt-gut thing right here.
I put a gator cuff on it after it happened, and I played the whole season not be able to go past here. I was like, listen, if I have to go up here,
Yeah.
that means I'm on my ass.
You
know what I'm
shouldn't
saying?
have to as an offensive lineman anyway.
Yeah, I should. All my motion and everything when I'm hitting guys should be all within here. And the gator cuff kept me there. It was a cuff that went over your bicep, strapped across the front of your chest of your shoulder pads, and then you put your pads over it. And that was the restrictive motion to make sure that you can get to a point where you were overextended. Now I couldn't do it. I couldn't sit there and do any overhead presses or anything, but at that point in my life, I'm like, I'm not doing as many overhead presses. I mean, I'm using some Olympic lifts, which is usually light. But yeah, to this day, I mean, that's as far up as I go. So,
Oh.
and I'm good with that.
When you're
I'm not
6'8",
going on Fear Factor. Why do I need to hang over the side of the building, Joe Rogan?
If you're 6'8", you're good.
Yeah, I can still reach the top shelf of everything.
You have to reach down to reach it anyway.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to the show. It is Wolf and Luke on a Wednesday afternoon. It is Maximum Football, though Max just walked out of the studio, so now it's Minimum Football.
That's all right, though. He's walking around the studio here. He's walking around the station here.
Here he
It's in the
comes.
snack room. That much I'll guarantee you right now. And when you're 6'8", 335, you have issues.
Do we have a snack room? Because I would like to check it
out.
out.
We have a snack room.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you know where the vending machine is.
Yeah, but there's not snacks in there.
What do you call those things?
They're behind glass, so I call that. I don't know, playing with my emotions. Yeah,
Paid food.
That's right.
Well, okay.
It's not easily accessible.
Usually you go in that room and there's food that you can't have, and Wolf looking around saying, "Who didn't fill up the coffee?" That's what that room is for.
No, exactly.
And
Did
the
you go
vending
there?
machine
See?
is not refrigerated right now.
Okay, you got
It
a
is
little
not
something.
cold.
Well, they just put it in there.
No, they did. No, they did not. This thing, I guarantee, I'm like one of the few people that drinks this. So there is no way that oh my God, we're all out of these and we had to just fill it up. No, it's warm.
Why are you not identifying what it is that you're drinking?
It's a product. We're not supposed to
It's
say
a
it on
product.
the air.
We're not getting paid for this.
Well, once again,
Max doesn't even work here and he knows
you
this.
can say what it is. You just have to say,
hey, how about
that's not payola.
Pop.
Oh,
It's a pop.
Okay,
Well, it's called
a
soda,
pop.
but
All
yeah.
right, great.
It's a pop.
Yeah,
Is that
soda.
good?
Yeah, it's fine.
Nobody calls it pop here.
Who? What do you call it? Soda?
Soda, of course.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Communists. You know what? People in Beijing call it pop.
Max, don't listen to Wolf.
Listen, first of all, that means we're talking about Beijing, Michigan, because my mom's from Detroit and she calls it pop.
Beijing, Michigan.
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin says it's pop.
All right.
I think he says it's popski.
We
Or
are
something like that. Pop off. Well, that's a cheap vodka, anyways.
week number 2 of the season is coming
let's
up,
go.
starting tomorrow.
Nothing to see here.
And, again, Max was going down the right path, and Wolf's like, let's see where we can steer this. The Cardinals get the Giants on Sunday, and based on what you saw in week 1, Max, and I know, unfortunately for you, you had a lot of San Francisco 49ers football that you had to watch. But
I did see the Giants game against the Cowboys.
Maybe that's it. Maybe just based on what you saw from the
really.
Giants, what are the Cardinals in store for on Sunday?
Well, they're going to score points, and obviously the Giants defense can't stop people from scoring points.
Sure didn't look like it.
Yeah, no. I think it's going to be a good challenge. I mean, for both of these teams, the Giants are going to want to rebound after a very, very disappointing, dismal performance. But I think they have some keys. I mean, defensively, you're going to need to bring that same vigor that you did against Washington because they still have Saquon Barkley. Yes, Saquon did not have the impact that we were thinking he was going to have. Daniel Jones was getting tossed in the dirt. In fact, did you see that one picture of Daniel Jones when he just had nothing but like those rubber pellets in his face?
Yeah.
And looked like he was trying to do his own makeup? I mean,
That's what stinks.
Yeah.
Too. Rubber pellets when it used to be dirt, Basinonians.
yeah.
Dirt flying in your face and getting in your mouth guard. And then when blood would mix with the dirt in your mouth guard,
It was
you
just gritty.
chew on it, just gritty.
Felt like gristle.
You know what? Felt like an animal.
Yeah.
And if ever there's one place where you want to feel like an animal, it's on a football field.
Yes, and Dan Campbell would appreciate that analogy as well.
That's true. How do we not? Do they play the Lions? We got to get Dan Campbell on the show this year.
But you're right. I mean, it's one of those things where they were overwhelmed. I mean, Dallas came out and they just were firing on all cylinders. And some days, the lucky rabbit's foot is just firmly planted inside of you. But for this Giants team, they're going to react. This is a team that was in the playoffs a year ago. They upgraded a lot of their position. I mean, Darren Waller and company, you're going to look at that receiving core and you've got some pieces to throw to. And I think they will be better. But if you're the Cardinals, you've got to establish yourself and establish the identity offensively. And that includes being effective running the football and giving Josh Dobbs some options. Not just playing, zone coverage and telling him to find his way in the windows. Actually have some teams step up, have to play the box so that you can get the man-on-man, one-on-one situations instead of just too high the entire game. It's tough to throw for any quarterback.
Very difficult.
No matter how good you are to throw against cover 2. Cover 4, right? Quarters, where everything's fence coverage, keep it in front of you, and we're going to make you throw through the window.
Quarter, half.
Is also another one that
Or
sucks.
as Gene Stallings used to say, 41-46. Don't ask me why he would say that. But
Yeah.
Can I just say also, too, it's interesting when you talk about running the football. This is a New York Giants team that they had a hard time stopping the run last year. They did, as a matter of fact. And the Dallas Cowboys averaged over 4 yards a carry as well against them last week. I'm going to cram it vertical. This is my – guess what? The Giants don't have Jonathan Allen or Deron I can't believe I just said that.
It's all good.
Yeah, listen, they don't have Deron Payne and they don't have Jonathan Allen as two defensive tackles cramming it up. And because of that, I expect James Conner to actually get the ball a lot in between the tackles. Well,
and that's what I think. And that's where your life has to be.
Yes,
you have to live because you go outside. They have speed to cover the outside. They have enough pieces that they can make your life miserable if you say, "Oh, we're just going to bounce it," or "We're just going to run wide," or "We're just going to throw nows." Like, you need to actually go physically tenderize the ribs, right?
Yes.
You need to go in and soften them up so that you can get linebackers playing up a little bit more. And then now you get middle of the field. Now you get some catch around with Rondale Moore. Now you can take advantage of a one-on-one if it is Hollywood Brown, right? You get some options and some relief there. But when they're not fearing the run and they can just say, we're going to keep everything in front of you, because you're not going to get past us. Or if not, the pressure's going to get to you that's going to affect it. That's when you're in a bad day. When they're dictating the fight to you, you need to go out there and dictate the fight to them.
How would you, since you brought up Rondale Moore, how would you use him? Because I know it's just one game, and Drew Petzing seemed like he had a pretty clean plan for everybody on offense. But again, with Rondale Moore, it always just seems to be passes either behind the line of scrimmage or 1 yard ahead, and then hopefully this guy can outrun everybody.
Well, I mean, I would love to see him in a little bit more zip motion. And I agree. Middle of the field is a great place for him, especially in crossing routes, because his speed, if you're passing off in zone, somebody's gonna mess up. Right, it's like the game of telephone. If we continually pass the message around, somebody's going to mess up the message along the way. So why wouldn't I want to take advantage of that underneath stuff? And then you can run, can't say pick, right? Rub routes off of your tight end.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rub
Pick,
routes.
what are you talking about? That
What
was
are you
no
talking
pick.
about? Yeah. And if your tight end just happens to run 7 yards and turn around on a stop route,
See.
and Rondale Moore comes behind him,
It's just bad luck
he
for
just
the defense.
happened to be there.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got there. But if you can utilize more of that, it's okay to throw the stuff behind the scrimmage when you know it's man cover.
Yeah.
Right. But when it's zone, I can't throw to Rondale Moore, right? Because they have everything in front of them and they're passing it off is easier. But if you're running with him en route, trying to communicate and pass, that's a different story. So you have to use them a little bit more creatively, and you need to use double teams and a lot of rub action to get him free, because he's a guy that can get lost in the sauce, so to speak, and use your hide stuff behind
what are you
it.
doing to me right now? I am absolutely starving.
There was a lot of barbecue references
I am
subtly in there.
starving. Yeah.
Tenderize the ribs,
You
lost in
talk
the
about
sauce.
tenderizing ribs,
Yes.
rub, and sauce.
I have. I know. You know what? I think I'm trying to talk myself into what I'm going to lunch, because, Loba's barbecue is right
I know,
over
it's
that
right
way.
there, too.
It's right down there.
What
Field
is?
trip.
Okay.
Loba's
okay.
You've never had
there
it?
you
We have
go.
to talk about this during
Listen,
the break.
That's not payola.
That's
All
not
right?
payola,
They're
yeah.
not paying
There's
you
nothing in front of
specifically to
us,
say
so no,
that,
it's not
right?
payola.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah, so I'm starving right now, and Max is over here talking about ribs.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
rubs,
said something, because I
and
know if it was like a
sauces.
subtle message, because I suddenly feel like I know how to use Rondale Moore on the football field and want barbecue.
And know how to go grill some food right now.
And I fully do expect that. I expect the Giants to line up, and I think they're going to have a paradigm shift where they're going to say, let's see, we've got Saquon Barkley. Let's feed him the ball. I mean, honestly, I think they're going to do that. They're going to try to test that front six, that front seven for the Arizona Cardinals. I expect them to do that, and why wouldn't you?
Well, there's no reason not to believe that, because when you're like, okay, well, this team has always had an issue over the last couple of years, regardless of who's been the head coach, they can't stop the run. Mm-hmm. So why not go and see if we can make the ghosts of Christmas past, become ghost of Christmas present, and see if we can actually go and hit them in the mouth and see if they fold or not. Yes, they had a good day yesterday, the other day against Brian Robinson and company, right? But Saquon's not Brian Robinson. And he's a guy, we went through a whole lot of stuff to make sure he was on this team, and he was supposed to be a feature guy for us along with Daniel Jones. So why not feature this guy? We've tried to feature Daniel Jones. It did not work. Mm-hmm. So let's go back with the original plan of being a running team, especially when Andrew Thomas has the hamstring right now. And so whatever you have to do to shift and put guys over, if Evan Neal has to go to left tackle, listen, Dennis Gardeck and company, just be prepared to pin your ears back and just stop the run at all costs so you can get into passing situations, because even Andrew Thomas did not look as good. And if he has a hamstring, I can tell you, first of all, it's very tough to pull fat as an offensive lineman. Just want to let you guys know that right out the gate. But when you do pull said fat, and it's in the backside region, that is a tough day to brace and stabilize. As an offensive tackle against bull rushes and everything, it's a sensitive prospect, to say the least. I mean, the best thing you could do is wrap it and go forward in a run game style. That's how you kind of can save Andrew Thomas if he is going to play.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a lingering, nagging issue. And if he can't play, advantage Cardinals defensive line, because now you have the fish spot. Right, as your brother likes to call it. It's like fresh fish.
Yep.
You're looking for the fish on the line. It would be whoever's going to step into left tackle, or even if Andrew Thomas is there, because he has the hamstring.